The Western Balkans, made up of the former Yugoslavic countries of Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, Kosovo, and North Macedonia, share a united history and geography. But despite these similarities, every single country except for Slovenia has a shrinking population. So why are so many people leaving this region, and what is Slovenia doing right to keep growing? Welcome to Geography by Jeff. Today we're going to explore the Western Balkan region of Europe, also known as the former country of Yugoslavia. But while the region has improved since the dissolution of Yugoslavia, every country except for Slovenia is still losing people. And as usual, there are geographic reasons that explain this. But first, this week's podcast episode is all about the US state of Alaska. While Alaska is a full state of the United States, its history and geography are incredibly different. It also happens to be one of the most strategically important states in the country, despite having such a low population. You can learn all about Alaska by watching here on YouTube or listening on whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. All links are in the description below. The region that makes up the former country of Yugoslavia is incredibly complex. The individual nations that exist today, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, Kosovo, and North Macedonia, form what is now better known as the Western Balkans. This region that would become Yugoslavia was historically a crossroads of empires, including the Byzantine, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian empires, each of which left its mark on the local populations and cultures. And while today's video is largely about the independent countries that exist today, we need to first talk a bit about the history of Yugoslavia to better understand that story. The concept of Yugoslavia, which translates to the land of the Southern Slavs, emerged in the late 1800s amid rising nationalism and the crumbling of empires. The idea was to unite the South Slavic peoples, who were then spread across the Balkans, into a single nation state. This vision came to fruition after World War I with the creation of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes in 1918, which was later renamed the Kingdom of Yugoslavia in 1929. This initial formation was an attempt to blend the disparate groups together under a unified banner, but it was marked by internal tensions, particularly between the Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes over issues of federalism versus centralism and the distribution of power. World War II was a turning point for the region at large. The Axis occupation and subsequent liberation struggle, led by communist partisans under Josip Broz Tito, laid the groundwork for the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. After the war, Tito's government managed to suppress national sentiments and maintain unity through a federal structure that allowed for a degree of autonomy for its 6 constituent republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Macedonia, later renamed North Macedonia, and Serbia, which included 2 autonomous provinces, Kosovo and Vojvodina, though it should be pointed out that Tito was an authoritarian dictator throughout his reign. Tito's Yugoslavia was unique in its resistance to aligning with neither the Eastern or Western blocs during the Cold War, instead founding the non-aligned movement. However, after Tito's death in 1980, unresolved ethnic tensions and economic problems began to surface more prominently. The 1980s saw a rise in nationalism among various ethnic groups, fueled by economic decline and political instability. The collapse of communism in Eastern Europe added further pressure. The disintegration of Yugoslavia began in the early 1990s, when Slovenia and Croatia declared independence in 1991, followed by Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1992. The attempts to maintain a unified Yugoslav state led to a series of conflicts, most notably the Croatian War of Independence, the Bosnian War, and later the Kosovo War. These wars were marked by ethnic conflict, atrocities, and significant human suffering, leading to international interventions and peacekeeping efforts. Slovenia and Croatia's path to independence were relatively swift, though not without conflict, particularly for Croatia with the Serb-dominated Yugoslav People's Army. Bosnia and Herzegovina's declaration of independence led to a brutal war characterized by ethnic cleansing and the siege of Sarajevo that required complex international negotiations to bring to an end. Meanwhile, Kosovo's struggle for independence from Serbia culminated in a NATO-led bombing campaign in 1999, leading to UN administration and eventual declaration of independence in 2008, which Serbia has yet to recognize. Montenegro and Serbia formed a reduced Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1992, which was reconstituted as the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro in 2003, before Montenegro's independence referendum in 2006. Finally, North Macedonia declared independence peacefully in 1991, but faced challenges related to its name and identity, culminating in a landmark agreement with Greece, which also controls a large Macedonia region, in 2018. Today, the countries that emerged from the former Yugoslavia are navigating their paths as independent states. But one thing that still binds them all together is their shared geography. But before we get to the physical geography of this region, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button. More fun geography videos are just a single click away. The Western Balkans, nestled in the heart of Southeast Europe, is characterized by its varied topography, climate zones, and natural features, which have been pivotal in shaping the distinct identities of the now independent states of Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, Kosovo, and North Macedonia. The northernmost country, Slovenia, is known for its mountains, forests, and lakes. The Julian Alps, including the picturesque Lake Bled, dominate its landscape, offering a stunning backdrop to a country also known for its caves, such as those in Postojna and Skopje. Slovenia acts as a geographic bridge between the Mediterranean, the Pannonian Plain, and the Alps, contributing to its incredible scenic beauty. Croatia's geography is marked by its long Adriatic coastline and the Dinaric Alps stretching down the coast, creating a dramatic seaside landscape dotted with islands, peninsulas, and inlets. The interior is part of the Pannonian Plain, featuring fertile agricultural lands and rivers, including the Danube, which forms part of the border with Serbia. Plitvice Lakes National Park exemplifies Croatia's natural beauty with its renowned cascading lakes and waterfalls. Meanwhile, Bosnia and Herzegovina is characterized by a more rugged terrain, with the Dinaric Alps extending into its territory, offering a mix of dense forests and mountainous landscapes. The central and eastern part of the country are more hilly and forested, with the Neretva and Bosna rivers playing crucial roles in shaping the land. Sarajevo, its capital, sits in a valley, showcasing the country's typical blend of mountains and urban life. Heading south, Montenegro, the word itself meaning Black Mountain, lives up to its name with a landscape dominated by high peaks, deep river canyons, and a narrow coastal plain. The Bay of Kotor, resembling a fjord, is a highlight of Montenegro's Adriatic coast. The country's interior is renowned for the Tara River Canyon, one of the deepest river canyons in Europe, and the dramatic mountains of Durmitor National Park. Moving east, Serbia's geography is a bit more diverse, with the fertile plains of Vojvodina in the north, part of the Pannonian Plain, making it a significant agricultural hub. The country transitions into the more mountainous terrain southward, including part of the Dinaric Alps, the Carpathians, and the Balkan Mountains. The Danube River, Europe's second longest river, runs through Serbia, including its capital Belgrade, which is a key feature of the country's geography. Kosovo, just south of Serbia, maintains this mountainous geography, featuring the Sar Mountains to the south and the Kopaonik Range to the north. Its central region is a bit flatter and is part of the Kosovo Plain, which is fertile and supports some agriculture. Finally, North Macedonia is predominantly mountainous and makes up the southern endpoint of the Dinaric Alps. Lake Ohrid, one of the world's oldest and deepest lakes, lies on the border with Albania and is notable for its unique ecosystem and historic significance. North Macedonia's side of Lake Ohrid was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1979. From the Dinaric Alps and the Adriatic Sea to the Pannonian Plain, this region's geography binds all of these independent countries together. And to that point, it's an incredibly beautiful part of the world. So why is every country in this region shrinking in population, except for one? Every country in the Western Balkans has been losing people every year, except for one, Slovenia. This divergence can be attributed to a mix of economic, social, political, and environmental factors that have shaped demographic changes in these countries since the dissolution of Yugoslavia in the early 1990s. For much of the region, the decline in population is a consequence of several interrelated factors, but economic hardship has been a significant driver. With the wars of the 1990s devastating the economies of the region, high unemployment rates and poor living conditions quickly followed. These economic challenges spurred a substantial migration of young and skilled workers seeking better opportunities abroad, particularly within the European Union, where movement became easier for some of these countries following their accession or association agreements with the EU. Furthermore, The aftermath of the Yugoslav wars had a lasting impact on the demographic structure of the region, exacerbating political instability and ethnic tensions. The wars led to significant loss of life and the displacement of populations. In addition, every country within the Western Balkans has a low birth rate, which is today very common amongst many European countries, but are particularly acute here, where economic insecurity discourages family formation and having children. But Slovenia has managed to buck this trend a bit through a combination of factors. First, when Slovenia became an independent country, it was a much smoother transition. Instead of a prolonged war for independence such as what Bosnia and Herzegovina had to deal with, Slovenia's independence war was over in about 10 days. This enabled the country to modernize and develop its economy much faster. And this economic stability has made Slovenia attractive for both its citizens and migrants, offering better job opportunities, higher living standards, and a robust welfare system. Additionally, Slovenia's integration into the European Union came in 2004, 20 years ago. And this EU membership has facilitated access to structural funds and investment, boosting the economy and infrastructure. The only other country that's part of the Western Balkans and also a member of the European Union is Croatia, which joined in 2013 and has had a shorter time frame to leverage the new membership. Every other Western Balkan country is currently in the application process for membership, though this process takes a long time. Finally, Slovenia's political stability and social cohesion have provided a conducive environment for population growth. The country has been relatively successful in managing ethnic tensions and fostering a sense of national unity, which has been appealing to both native Slovenians and immigrants. Contrast this with Serbia, which is consistently fueling regional tensions, particularly with Kosovo in the south. All this is to say, however, that Slovenia's growth rate, while positive, is still modest. The country still faces challenges common to the region and the broader European context, such as an aging population and the need for sustainable immigration policies to support its demographic and economic future. Today, the Western Balkans population would be led by Serbia with about 6.6 million people, down from 7 million in 2018. Croatia with 3.9 million, down from 4.1 million. Bosnia and Herzegovina with 3.2 million, down from 3.3 million. Slovenia with 2.1 million, up from 2 million. North Macedonia with 2 million, down only about 10,000 people, Kosovo with 1.8 million, down from 1.9 million, and Montenegro with 617,000 people, down from 622,000 people. And while the Western Balkans has an interesting story around its population, one very interesting thing within the region is Croatia's unique shape, where it controls almost the entirety of the Adriatic coast, leaving just a small 12-mile strip for Bosnia and Herzegovina. The peculiar coastline distribution between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, where Croatia controls the vast majority of the Adriatic coastline, leaving Bosnia and Herzegovina with a tiny 12-mile strip at Neum, has historic roots and geopolitical implications that date back over 100 years. The configuration of the coastline was initially influenced by the Congress of Berlin in 1878, when Bosnia and Herzegovina came under Austro-Hungarian administration, although it remained officially part of the Ottoman Empire until 1908. During this period, strategic considerations led to decisions that would ensure control over key ports and maritime access routes would remain with the Austro-Hungarian controlled areas, which included what is now Croatia. The dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire after World War I and the formation of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, later Yugoslavia, did not alter this coastal distribution significantly. The internal borders within Yugoslavia were drawn more for administrative and ethnic considerations than for equitable access to the sea for all constituent republics. Following the breakup of Yugoslavia in the early 1990s, the international borders were drawn along the same lines of the former internal republic boundaries. This resulted in the independent state of Bosnia and Herzegovina having a very short coastline, squeezed between Croatian territories to the north and south. The Neum Corridor serves Bosnia and Herzegovina's access to the Adriatic Sea, splitting what would otherwise be a continuous Croatian stretch of coastline. The Western Balkans are still mostly losing people today, largely because of population and economic conditions that never fully recovered from the various wars for independence. But Slovenia had a much different and far more comfortable path to statehood. And this is shown in its ability to modernize and recover much more quickly. Hey, you should come join me in Ireland this October. Together, we'll explore Dublin and Killarney, and of course, have a pint of Guinness. So check out the link in the description to find out more information. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the Western Balkan region of Europe. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to watch another video, click here. If you want to listen to the podcast, click here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.